But in this discussion, I'm going to talk about starting over with nothing. And that's what I'm doing. I am starting over from scratch. I want to talk about the video I did recently about investing and how I showed what I was making off of my dividends periodically, or actually over the last 3 months is what I showed. I'm trying to figure out real quick how to see any messages that come in, because right now I don't see any talking bar. I see 2 people have joined. Somebody type something for me real quick and let me see if I can figure out how to see the comments on this, because I'm doing it on my phone instead of my laptop and it's kind of wonky. Just like type hello or something. I'm trying to find out where the comments are going to pop up for me, because I don't want to miss your comments. I want it to be interactive. I've got it all messages visible. Aha! Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Larry. ABC. Good day to everybody. All right. Starting over now that I can see where it's going. And I got to remember the camera's over here and not over here. So I don't want to show you all just the side of my head the whole time. What I was talking about was I recently put out a video that talked about how much I make every month in dividends, or weekly, monthly. And I showed 3 months of dividend earnings in both of my investment accounts, in my regular brokerage account and in my IRA account. Now, a lot of people, well, first of all, a lot of people didn't watch it because it's 40 minutes long. But for folks that did, I heard things like, yeah, but your portfolio is already big, or, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm starting from scratch. So I'm starting over with nothing. The first thing I want to do is walk back to my brokerage account and what I made last week, just last week, and in my smallest account, in my regular brokerage account, dividend-wise. I made $1,157.70. That's US dollars, just last week. 4 different investments that I hold in that portfolio paid me dividends, and that was the total for all 4 of them. But that portfolio's somewhere north of $200,000 right now. Of course, Friday we took a big hit in the market, so maybe it's a little bit lower, I don't know, but let's call it $200,000. So on $200,000 last week I made $1,157. But what if you don't have $200,000? What if you're starting over, or you're just getting started and you're starting from zero, and you want to start working on this life of dividend income, paying for everything that you've got? Well, I'm doing that. I've gone and I took your all's comments, I heard them, and I opened a brand new account with nothing in it. Of course, that doesn't make you any money at all. So I'm going to run this account just like a brand new investor would. I funded it with just $100 US, and I only bought 1 investment in it. My goal is to see what I can grow that to and show you how that you can begin investing starting from zero, little bit at a time, and grow that passive income stream from the dividends. So the goal of the account will be to generate income. It's not going to be so much focused on growth of the underlying shares. I'm only going to own 1 investment in it for now. It's going to be an ETF. When I get to another point, when I get to where I believe I have enough in there to start to diversify and buy a second investment, we'll talk about what that's going to be and how I'm going to do that. But for now, I put $100 in the account. I also set it up like a new investor might. I set it up with a reoccurring investment to keep adding to my position. And that's key to growing your portfolio. You can't expect to generate a living income off of dividends if you only start with $100 and just let that start paying you dividends and reinvest it. So, account settings, $100, reoccurring investment of $50 a month. 50 US dollars, and everything I'm going to talk about is in dollars today, US dollars, because I'm investing in the US market. So initial capital, $100, recurring investment, first of every month, $50. And I bought last week 7 shares at $13.93, and I bought YMAX, so Yield Max. It's a high yield income ETF that buys other ETFs within its family. And definitely not recommending an ETF or a stock. So nothing here is financial advice. This is just what I chose to put in the portfolio. If you're doing it, find what works for you. Seek a professional's advice if you need help. This is not financial advice. This is just my experience and what I'm doing. So I bought 7 shares of YieldMax at $13.93 with my initial investment. YieldMax pays dividends weekly, so at the end of the week, it paid me $1.15 on that investment. And since we crossed the month, we went from July to August, the automatic reinvestment hit and another $50 went in the account. In the account, I've also got it set up on dividend reinvestment. So all of the dividends are just buying more shares. And the $50 a month is set to automatically buy $50 at the market of YMAX to keep adding to that position. So I started with 7 shares and $100 at the beginning of the week. At the end of the week, I have a value of $142.46. So overall, the account is down a couple bucks, but like I said, we had a really bad day Friday. And now I own, instead of 7 shares, I own 10.808 shares. So between the repurchase with the extra 50 bucks and the dividend reinvestment on the $1.15 dividends that I earned, I went from 7 shares to 10.8 shares. And that also lowered my overall cost. The initial cost, like I said, of the 7 shares was $13.93. Now at 10.8 shares, my cost basis is down around $10.65. So I've lowered my cost basis. I've invested more. I've got 10 shares of YMAX, and I'm going to keep adding to that. September 1st, another $50 is going to get transferred into the account, and it will buy $50 worth of YMAX at the market. In the meantime, YMAX is going to keep paying me dividends every week. Now, you can't live off $1 a week, but the objective here is to keep giving you updates and show you that with consistent investing and with a target of investment income or income generating investments, we're going to see how long it takes us to get to better income. So one thing to be careful of, I can't allow comments that are going to recommend financial advisors, because usually those are scammers anyway. And somebody just posted a comment, but it faded away. And we can't recommend stocks. Unless you're a financial advisor yourself, don't make recommendations in the comments. I'll have to go and delete those later. And if you are a financial advisor, this is not a platform for you to find customers, so I'll block you and then I'll delete your comment too. So let me see what we got here. I have 1,400 shares of Misty. I own some Misty in the other portfolio, and 500 shares of Ulti. I recently bought some Ulti. And I do not drip till I have my initial investment all back, and I'm over halfway there. In 6 months in this house, then it's house money and I will reinvest. Robert, that's great, and I appreciate the comment, and you're not making recommendations. That's just Robert's experience. That's just his portfolio he's sharing with everybody, and that's fantastic for you, right? And I have a similar goal, right? You have to have an objective. Right now, it's just to keep growing the account, right? The first objective would be, like you said, you don't drip until you have your initial investment all back. So that's certainly one approach, right? Let those dividends pay back your initial investment, and then once you've covered that, then you can drip. But that's a way of making sure you're not taking losses. And that's certainly an approach that a lot of people would take. Let's see, which YieldMax fund are you talking about? YMAX, YMAX. It's the fund that invests in all of the other YieldMax family of funds. I think it has 10 holdings in other YMAX. So it's a way to own Misty and all those other guys in it. So it's diversified across the YMAX family. But some people would argue that, hey, it's all YMAX and they're just buying other YieldMax investment portfolios. So are they just kind of feeding themselves off that? And that's something to watch out for. With these high yield ETFs, you have to know whether you're getting, in those dividends that you're getting back, how much of that is return of capital versus return on your investment. So how much of it is profit versus giving you your own money back. And I think that's what leads a lot of people to do what the first comment did and say, pay me back all of my money first, and then I'll reinvest my dividends. So just something to watch out for. Yes, they pay a lot of high dividends, but where are they getting it from, right? A lot of these new high yield ETFs are writing covered calls, so it depends on market volatility and things like the option prices, which of course go up with the volatility that's involved. But if you look at like Nvidia stock, I own a bunch of Nvidia stock, not as much as I used to. And I used to write a lot of covered calls to generate other income off of that stock while I was holding it and watching it grow. But the premiums on the Nvidia options aren't what they used to be. That kind of heyday is gone, and you used to get $15 as a premium, and now it's down in a normal range of $1.50, $3. So the volatility has kind of gone from that. The pressure from all of the attention is gone from that. So you have to actively manage your portfolio, but you don't have to trade every day by any means. We're not trading here. The object of the account I just created is to just keep adding to it and watch it grow. Yeah, Nvidia, they just really went to heck. Nvidia premium's not good anymore. They're not what they used to be, that's for sure. So a lot of people have moved to chasing other stocks, and that has let the premiums on Nvidia kind of normalize or flatten out. But they used to be really good. You used to generate some great income off of Nvidia covered calls or using the wheel strategy, that kind of thing. Just another reminder, because I don't have it on the screen. I'll try and edit it and put it on once this goes post. I don't know how to do it live, but nothing I'm talking about is financial advice. None of the comments that you're going to see are financial advice. It's just my experience and what I'm doing here as an experiment. So I'm going to see what I can do with this account. I think my first objective is just see how long it takes me to get to $100 a month. And then what can I do with $100 a month? Well, because I'm living in Thailand and the cost of living is low here, that's almost a third of my rent. It's half of what I spend in a month on food and groceries. So $100 for me goes a long way. But you've got to set a target for yourself, whether it's pay back all of my investment and then whatever comes, or am I trying to get this, or are you trying to get your dividend portfolio to where it's making $1,000 a month, or how much do you need to make to get by? And I have the luxury of a very low cost of living, but for a lot of people, it's supplemental income as opposed to full-time income for me, because I don't have a job. I'm not old enough to draw Social Security. I can't even get into my IRA yet, which is why I'm not showing the the IRA portfolio that I've got. It continues to grow. I'm 59. I was going to say next month, but we're in August now. I'm 59 at the end of the month, so early next year I'll be 59 and a half, and if I need the dividends from that investment portfolio in the IRA, I can certainly access that. It's probably going to sit until I have to take required minimum distributions, because I've got other things that I can live off of in the meantime. So that's the plan, starting over with nothing. And I am going to see what we can grow this portfolio to. Thanks for hopping on the live. It's going to become a regular video on the main channel. I'll answer a couple questions, but I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about as far as starting over and building a portfolio from scratch. Let's take some questions. Y'all pop them in there. Do I ever sell puts? I really prefer selling cash secured puts over holding shares and selling covered calls. In your opinions, in my opinion, this market is dangerous, but I do sell calls on the shares I do own. I do occasionally, right? And I mentioned the wheel strategy. So there's something to be said for selling cash secured puts. But for this particular scenario where I'm talking about starting a portfolio from nothing, maybe as a new investor and kind of recreating that scenario, if you don't have the funds to sell or the experience to sell cash secured puts, it's not something that a lot of people want to do just starting out. But yeah, I do. To answer your question, I do. Hey Larry, let's see. In earlier videos of yours, I believe you stated you were living on $750 a month. Have you been able to stick to your budget? Thanks. Yeah, so the earliest video, I think the first video I did about my budget being $750 a month it's a pretty old video now, and a lot has happened. I've actually reduced some of my expenses. When I did the 750 video, I was in a condo in Jomtien, but the main factor that has changed my cost of living is the change in the exchange rate. So when I made that video, I think I was getting north of 35, probably around 37 baht to the dollar. And that has kind of leveled out, right? We're down around 32.6 to 32.7, which is about, if you look at the history of the baht to the US dollar, that's about the 10-year average range, upper 32s, low 33s. So while I reduced my expenses, I'm now paying $830 a month. And a lot of that comes from, the exchange rate fluctuation, and then also just a little bit of inflation here in Thailand. Certainly not seeing rates of inflation like a lot of the other parts of the world, but I'm still pretty close. So I went from 750 to June was 830. We just started into August. I just paid my phone bill yesterday. So maybe I'll go through and do another update and see what I did for July. I've got some other expenditures coming that are going to be actually much bigger, but they're long-term investments in my future here in Thailand. But on a month-to-month basis with my basic costs here to live, yeah, I'm still doing good. I'm right around 830 was the latest video I put out. Well, that looks like the comments have dried up. I've covered the objective. There'll be a series that I'm starting here on growing this portfolio, starting over from nothing, adding $50 a month to it, and seeing where we get on it. I hope you stick around for it. Thanks for joining this one, and I will see you all in the next one.